So I did a thing. I bought a Lumix S9 and I think I might switch. Now when I say I'm going to switch, I don't necessarily mean that I'm going to get rid of all of my other stuff. I'm not getting rid of all of my Sony cameras and I'm not going to stop making Sony content. But for my own personal use, I love this thing. I really do. I love using it. I love taking photos with it. I love shooting some video, which I haven't done as much of yet. I've really used this for photography more than anything. But I've really enjoyed using this camera for my own personal use. And if you've been to this channel before, you should know that this channel is all about trying to get the highest image quality possible, the best image that you can possibly get for the lowest amount of money. That's why I've spent so much time on this channel talking about the Sony ZV-E10, because I think for the longest time, it has been the budget camera to go for, because I think you can get an incredible image out of such a cheap camera. Again, 500 bucks used, between $400 and $500. You can get fantastic image quality out of that camera, but it's APS-C, and I know a lot of people really want full frame, and I've had a lot of videos out there about full frame and whether you need it or not, but I figured this might be the ZV-E10 of full frame cameras. Now hold on, that's a weird thing to say. I don't even know what that means. It just came out, but this is a phenomenal camera for the price. The image quality that this thing can produce for the dollar amount is crazy. So I managed to pick this up as an open box around the Black Friday sales for $1,100. That was after taxes. I think I got it for like $950, which is a crazy deal for a full frame 6K open gate L-mount camera. I was so excited to get it for that amount of money that I had to go for it. I'd actually literally just bought 2 more ZV-E10s and a ZV-E10 Mark II for this channel and for doing some stuff whenever I saw that deal, and I was like, oh, I gotta go for it. And I did. And obviously I had to add a couple of customizations to it. The one I got was the black one, so I added the sort of green skin around the top, which I kind of like. I kind of like that it's a little bit different. Everybody else's green ones are like green on the middle part and then black on the top, so this just makes it a little bit different. So I added the skin on top, and then I've been using basically only manual lenses at this point. This is the Brighton Star 28mm. I've got a video about that coming out hopefully next week, and a couple other lenses that I'm excited to talk about as well. But it's been so fun to use, and the combination of those two things, the incredible image quality for an amazing price and the joy, genuinely the joy that comes from using a camera like this, has made this a fantastic purchase for me personally. Again, not getting rid of my Sony stuff. I'm still going to make Sony content because that's what a lot of you guys want, but it's going to be mixed in with some Lumix content. I've never been like stuck to one camera brand. I think I've tried almost all of them except for the newer Nikons, and my Fujifilm experience is very limited. So I've switched around a lot. I started on Nikon's DSLRs, switched to Sony, then to Canon, then to Blackmagic, then to Zcam, then back to Blackmagic, then back to Sony, and all over the place. I have a compulsive need to buy cameras, but this is actually my first L-mount camera. Now, one of the things that I've said a lot about the Sony ecosystem, one of the main reasons that I recommended the Sony cameras is because of the E-mount. There are just so many lenses available to the Sony ecosystem that just make it so valuable, right? You can basically get any look that you want because they have a lens for it. The L-mount is catching up. It's not there yet. They don't have quite as many lenses, but they are catching up, which is good to see. What the L-mount has that the Sony ecosystem does not is that the L-mount is used by multiple camera manufacturers. So what that means is if I buy lenses for my Lumix S9 and then I decide I want to go and buy a Blackmagic Pixis, I can take the lenses from my S9 and use them on my Pixis, on a Blackmagic camera, which is a fantastic opportunity, right? It's really cool to be able to say that I can, like, the lenses that I buy for the Lumix ecosystem aren't restricted to Lumix. Let's say Sigma come out with another camera, or some Leicas. Again, I think I don't know what they're doing with their mounts at the moment, but or DJI potentially, maybe using the L mount. I'm not 100% sure. But what that means is you can take your lenses and use them on multiple camera systems, which is just as valuable in my opinion as having such a variety of lenses for one ecosystem. So that just kind of excited me. A couple other things that excite me about this camera. I'm excited to try open gate. I've already got an anamorphic lens here that I'm going to give it a go. I'm excited for going back to 6K. I used to use 6K a lot on the Blackmagic cameras, but since moving back to Sony, I haven't been able to, so just playing around with that. The image quality in general, I'm just really excited for, and again, the main thing that I've loved about this camera is it is just fun to use, and also whenever I go out and take pictures of it and people see it, people ask about this camera. I know that's kind of vain, but it is kind of fun, right? It is a unique, interesting looking camera, especially with the little wooden handle. This is a little grip by Left Photo, and the color being able to customize it and do whatever you want with it is just fun. As photographers and videographers, especially when you do it for a long time, one thing that tends to happen is that you start to lose your excitement for the craft. And especially once it becomes a job, you're not excited to go out and take photos, you're not excited to take videos, because it's always going to be for a project, for a client, or for, a video, whatever it might be. This has been the camera for me that I hoped, and it has been a camera for me that has reignited an excitement just to use cameras. I've gone out and I've taken photos and used this camera a lot, even in ways that I'm never going to use in any of these videos. It's a camera I'm excited to use, and it makes me want to shoot, and I think that's really important, especially for a lot of hobbyists out there. Just having the excitement to shoot is so important. Now, is this a perfect camera? Absolutely not. It does have some issues, but as I've said in many other videos, the main thing that you need to ask is, are the issues with the camera too much for you not to think that it's worth buying? And for me, the answer for that was no. I think the issues are excusable for me personally. The worst issues for me was the fact that it had limited recording. It was like 10 to 15 minutes depending on the format that you're recording on. That was a problem for me, but that has since been fixed with firmware update. So that's nice. Also, it's just cool to see that Lumix actually take into account what their fan base say, and then they release software updates quickly and they fix the problems. It's just nice to see that they're listening to their people. Secondly, I would like it if there was a hot shoe on here so that I could use an XLR adapter on there. That's kind of the only thing I would, they have one for the GH7, I think, and I would love to be able to use that on this camera because I love using XLR microphones like this MKH416. But I can't do that. Not the end of the world, I'll just run it into a recorder and then into this camera, but it would be nice to have. Downside that really doesn't affect me is that there's no mechanical shutter, and that bothers some people. It doesn't bother me. I'm mainly video, so I don't even use mechanical shutters anyway, but most of the photography I do is outdoors and I'm not doing anything fast paced, so not having a mechanical shutter doesn't affect me. Personally, I'm not doing motorsports or anything like that. But even in saying that, cameras have gotten really good. The rolling shutter and the performance of those sorts of things is far better than they used to be. So I'm not concerned about that at all. Another thing is that there's no viewfinder. That would have been nice to have a viewfinder, especially like a little rangefinder style. Would have been really cool, but again, mainly video, some photography. That doesn't bother me very much. The one thing that does bother me, and this might seem silly, but the one thing that does bother me is I hate, and I mean hate, I hate that the HDMI port and the USB-C port are on the side of the camera. It's like specifically on the side where the handle is, which means that if I build this up into a rig, which I have, and it's beautiful. I can't really grip the camera. I have an idea for this, a bit of a workaround, but it requires 3D printing, which I don't have access to right now, but I'm hoping to try and make something for that. Or maybe even, if Small Rig or Condor Blue or one of the manufacturers out there want to talk to me about building a really cool accessory for this camera, I have a couple ideas. Let me know if you're interested. But other than that, it's really not the end of the world, because 99% of the time I'm probably just going to rock this handheld. I'm not going to be having it in a rig. So that might seem like a handful of cons, and there's probably more, right? So some people are very concerned about overheating. Again, I've never had a camera overheat. I just don't film. Like the ZV-E10 Mark II and the A6700, people were just like, oh, it overheats like crazy. I've recorded hour-long podcast sessions with those multiple times at 4K 24, no problems. And I don't know anybody who is filming for an hour at 4K 60. I don't know. I have no idea why he would need to do that, but to each their own. If the problems with the camera don't meet your needs, don't buy that camera. It's not for you. That's okay. Buy something else. For me, this is fun. I enjoy it. I love the image that comes out of it. I've mainly used it for photos so far, which is strange for me because again, I'm a video guy, but this has made me want to go out and take photos, which I love. I love a camera that inspires me to shoot. So that is why I personally am going to be using Lumix cameras for my own stuff. For this YouTube channel, it is still going to be largely Sony. It's still going to be largely about tips and tricks on how you can better your own craft, but I'm probably going to be shooting them on this camera for the next little while, and if I like it, I'm probably going to go for the S5 IIX because it is also a beautiful looking camera, unless they release something else, so we'll see. But anyway, I'm really excited to see what Lumix are doing. They really are narrowing in and taking over the creator space, which is cool to see, having a company that are so dedicated to try and take over that niche market, I think is really exciting because they are listening to what we're saying. They're updating their cameras and fixing problems as they go, which is really cool to see. Anyway, I want to know what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this camera. What do you think of the photos that I've taken with them? I want to hear your thoughts. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, or maybe even subscribe as we continue to build this channel. I appreciate all of you for doing so, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.